All right, well, today we are gonna be moving the project bike off the rack, and we're gonna be changing the oil in the Ducati. So we're gonna do a how-to oil change. Oh Lord, this is gonna be fun. Try and get this off by myself. Gonna do a oh Lord. We're gonna head to a how-to on the oil change for YouTube. Gonna get this thing out of the way. This thing should be cool when it's done. So before we do the oil change on the bike is super cold. We need to let it warm up. It's got a lithium ion battery, so you always just want to let the charging system prime before going in too deep on it. Before going in, I usually let it go 10 seconds and then I'll crank her over. Make sure the bike is up to par, so I like to get it to around 150, 150 degrees. And so now that the bike is up to temp, go ahead and shut her off. And now we get to taking it apart. So we're gonna go over what tools we need to do this job, what kind of fluids we're using, and we'll break it down step by step. Okay, so first part of this process is getting all of the fluids and everything that we need. So we are going to be doing our brake and clutch fluid. So for that, we're going to use the RBF 600 fluid. That's what I like to use. It's .4, it's racing brake fluid. We've got a Hiflo Filtro. It's a premium filter. It's just like a aftermarket version of the Ducati one. It's actually, I mean, just as good as the Ducati one, and pretty much the same thing. It's just a lot cheaper. I have used the OEM Ducati filters in the past, but this will work this time around. You need your new crush washer, and you need your oil. So for this, we're going with the Motul 300V 15W50. We have some left over from last time, so we're gonna actually probably not use that. I like to put all the leftovers just back into one can. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this lower fairing off. To do this, these are a couple different sizes. You're going to need a size 3 hex here to get these bolts out. Now, some people do this different ways. They'll take off the entire upper. We're just going to do this by taking off the lower. So there's a bolt here. I'll just loosen them. There's one here. There's one here. Oops, hit that. There's one here. So there's 4 on the front. So, well, there's actually 5 on the front side. I'll show you the other one. But there's 4 here. There's usually one on the inside of here. I do not have that. There is one here right by the shifter. Then we have one that's literally right in front of the muffler heat guard. And then there's one that joins both together, which is up under the front side. So you'll see them. Whenever you're in here working, you'll see all of them laid out. You won't be able to miss them. So we're gonna go ahead and get all these pulled out, and then I'll show you how to take the actual bottom fairing out. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out the front side, 2 out of the bottom, and 1 out of the front if you still have that. And then you just want to wiggle this thing out. I pop the bottom out. The best way to do it, pop the bottom out, pull it down. It'll slide right off. Nice and wonderful. Put this off to the side in a safe place. You can do whatever you want to with your bolts. I just kind of leave mine laying around in the order that they're in. I keep hitting that thing. I just kind of leave mine in the order that they're in, and that way I don't lose them. So it works for me. Other people like to bag them and do other things. So right here, this is where the filter goes. And then on the underside, up in here, is where the oil actually comes out. So I like to drain it from the bottom first, which means we're gonna get our oil pan. Ooh, oh wait, I gotta find my front stand. Okay, well I fixed it. Somehow our ISO minimum got bumped to 400. So now we can see it. So while that's draining, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take out these two, we're gonna take out those 2 bolts there. I've already loosened them, so I can just do this by hand. So we'll take one. And they're kind of long, but they're not that bad. One out. And then we'll get the second one out. It's good to just loosen these by hand first. That we can get it out of the way and just pull them out. It's actually a pretty simple oil change to do, considering the dealer will charge you like $400 some almost. Okay, so got that one out. Now as you can see, we got to get this out, and there's no way to pry that out. So there's a couple ways that you can do it. You can actually get some bigger bolts that screw into these outside threads, because the outside threads are different than the internal ones. I don't mess with that because those threads aren't used anyways. So what I do is I just get me 2 needle nose pliers, and I'll actually shimmy it out to pull it out. Okay, so once you jiggle it loose, you can usually just use one and pull it the rest of the way out. One on each side, wiggle it out. Ooh, nice. You just wiggle it out, bloop, and then it comes down. And this way it does not get on the bike anywhere. Holla. Let's dump this out. Okay, so we have to get the filter out now. And the way that I get the filter out is by using a pick like this right here. So if we use that, we can go in and we can scoop the filter out. So just right on in that rubber piece, just like that. And then take your hands and bam. Or let that sit in there because we don't need that for the time being. Oops, spilled a little bit of oil. Usually pretty good at that. So yeah, so we're gonna keep letting it drain, and then we'll come back to it in a minute. We have a raised rubber grommet on the side that goes into the bike, and we have one that is recessed on this part that sticks out. So what we do is we just take this, slide her in. You give it a little extra push, that way it seats in when you get that last pop, you know it's seated in properly. Now we still have to pull off these old O-rings and put the new ones on. So what we're going to use for that is the pick. Where did I put my pick at? Oh, the pick. So we're going to use this pick, and you're just going to go in around the O-rings, scoop them out. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So you can see, got one, we got two, and where's my rag? Here's the rag. Let me just do a little bit of wipey with it. Get that cleaned off. We get it ready for the new O-rings, and the new O-rings just pop on like so. So that's one, and then that is two. So okay, not sure where I left off. That filter had terrible O-rings that sat around the outside of this, and they actually ended up snapping. So learn from my mistake. Do not use that filter. Hopefully the filter will be okay. I change my oil every 1,500 miles, so I'm not too worried about it for the time being. But the O-rings on the housing were absolute trash. So next change, we're going right back to the OEM Ducati filter, and you can forget everything I said about the previous filter. It may have been a fluke. I've had people that do a lot with Ducatis recommend that filter to me and say it's fine, but I won't run that ever again. One bad experience is enough for me, and with how hard I beat on this bike and ride it, I don't need any kind of mistakes like that, or any kind of worry in my mind about the quality of the part that I'm using. Pay more for peace of mind, especially on a bike like this. So we got that back in, got those tightened. We're gonna pull the tinfoil out. Look at that, all clean. Then we're going to go ahead and put the bottom bolt back in for the oil pan. We'll tighten her up, fill her with oil, and then we'll hit the next steps. All right, so next step in this process is filling the oil up. Again, we're using Motul 300V. It takes about 3.5 liters. My bike actually takes slightly less, 3.5. Actually, we'll overdo it a little bit on my bike. So I go to 3, I let it run, and then I check the eyeglass and see where my leveling is. So we'll go ahead and pour this in, let it sit, and see what we're at. I will say I love the color of this stuff. It is truly that green too. You know, obviously it doesn't come out that green, but fantastic. All right, so as you can hopefully see, my fluid is right near the top. I used just over, well, I used right at 3 liters actually. So I used a half a liter from that bottle, and then I used 2.5 from here. So that's 3 liters of fluid in the bike. Currently it looks full, so we're gonna go ahead and let it run for a minute. Then we'll let it cool down. Also, while it runs, we're gonna check up under here, make sure there's no leaks. Check the other side as well, make sure there's no leaks, and we should be good. So we don't have to let it run for too long. But we just want to check for leaks. Everything looks good. Woo! So we'll cut it off here in a second. All right, so got everything taken care of. Oil mark is nice. It'll be a little bit higher than that. I had to end up adding another half a liter. So the bike in total actually took 3.5 liters exactly. And that's good. So now we'll move on to changing out the brake fluids, which are nasty. Rear brake fluid, pretty terrible. Front's not so bad. The clutch fluid is a disaster. So these bikes burn oil or burn the fluids so fast it's crazy. So gonna get all that swapped out now. Okay guys, I meant to show you guys changing out my fluids, but my battery died. But you can see everything's clear now. If you remember our last video, it was super dirty. The bike drives and handles much better. It's pretty simple. The clutch is done from back here with an 8mm, and it bleeds that. I have like an auto bleeder. I'd always do the front brake from the furthest caliper, right there, and then the rear brake is done from the back of the caliper, right here, and the fill points there. It's pretty straightforward, but we don't care about that bike right now because we're gonna, oh yeah, we're gonna take the old girl for a spin real quick. Alright, well, I'm just gonna let you guys listen to this goodness without me talking.